What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Bloody Summer Camp. So this movie, this is another one of those Felissa Rose summer camp movies. It stars Felissa Rose and it also stars Dave Sheridan, which I'm all here for. At this point, they're a combo pack. Nowadays, if Felissa Rose is in a movie, in her contract, it says you gotta throw my boy Dave Sheridan in there as well. So I like both of those actors. Big fan of both of them. So yeah, I kind of like how they're just in all these movies together. I would like to believe that they're friends in real life and they're just like besties and they're just like, yeah, throw my friend in the movie as well. So yeah, this is another one of those, like I said, Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan movies. And once again, it's another summer camp slasher. So, your boy is all here for that. And in terms of my overall opinion of the movie, I thought it was decent. I have seen this movie one time before, and I feel like the first time I watched it, I did not like it. But after rewatching it, I did think it was decent. This movie had a lot of good stuff going for it, but the main thing for me was it was so long. It was like 2 hours and 6 minutes or 2 hours and 7 minutes, and I think great horror movies can be 2 hours long, but I think in my personal opinion, 2 hours for a slasher movie is pushing it. I like a nice 90-minute slasher movie. If this movie was like a little bit tighter, if they cut off some of the fluff and it was like a little bit, quicker paced, I would say it's good. But yeah, just because it does drag a lot at certain points, I just thought it was decent. But anyways, the basic plot summary is you have this group of camp counselors, and they're at this camp called Camp Trustfall. They're gonna open camp, and while they're there, they start getting picked off by this silent killer in a devil mask. So that's it. Pretty basic plot summary. And then I actually was like looking at the IMDb page, and I guess this movie is supposed to be set in the 80s. It's supposed to be set in 1986. But I didn't really, like, as I was watching it, I wasn't really thinking that it was set in the 80s, but they don't really have, they're like, there's no modern technology, so, I mean, it doesn't, like, break any rules where it can't be set in the 80s, but I don't recall them, like, mentioning anything about the 80s, but they didn't have to, but, yeah, that's, the basic plot summary, and getting into some positives here first. I thought the comedy in this was on point. You had some likable characters. Like there was some. I always like having these fun, wacky kind of I don't know, crazy characters in slasher movies. Like there were a plethora of them. There's this the camp cook was just a total sleazebag. I know I probably used the term sleazebag too much, but I mean that totally encompasses his whole persona. Like this guy was just doing copious amounts of drugs on the clock. He was just swearing at people, treating his staff terrible. He had like a huge ego. He's like, "This is my kitchen. I'm the head chef. This is my kitchen." And then he was just so creepy with some of the female counselors. Like they were of age, they were like 20, but he was he was just he was coming on way too strong. Like my boy was straight up like, yeah, he was harassing these young ladies, like, but that was his character. Like, that was his whole character. Like, he was supposed to be just like a total dirtbag, and I loved it. He was just so over the top. And once again, Dave Sheridan plays kind of like a bumbling idiot cop, and he was absolutely hilarious as well. His whole thing was, he was kind of over the top too, but he was just so oblivious. Like, there would be like clearly suspicious stuff going on. He's just like, oh, it's whatever. Oh, basically his partner would like figure everything out, and but he was the sheriff, but like his assistant would figure everything out, and Dave Sheridan's character was just a total idiot. So he was hilarious, and once again, Dave Sheridan, he had a great performance. He killed it. So yeah, you had good characters, good comedy. I thought the setting was good. They must have like rented out some little summer camp. There was like a little, I don't know if it was a lake, maybe it was a lake or a pond with like a swimming platform. There was a lot of forestry. The cabins were more modern looking, like they were like metal. They almost looked like a manufactured home or like a mobile home. They weren't like log cabins or wood cabins, but I don't know. The camp overall, I thought the location was good and the setting was good and it felt like camp, and they had a nice campfire scene. They hit all the marks. So I thought the setting was good. And yeah, the kills in this were good. Even though this came out in 2021, I think like pretty much all of the kills were practical. There weren't a lot of cutaways. You had good gore effects. Some of the effects looked a little bit more shoddy than others, but for the most part, the effects were pretty good, and it was all practical. The two standout kills for me were when the cook got killed, because basically the cook was like, he was in the kitchen and there was no one there, so he just starts pulling his goalie, if you know what I mean. He just starts tossing off, and he puts like a bucket in front of him for when he finishes, and basically the killer stabs him with a machete through the chest. You see the machete come through the chest, it looks good, and his blood is pouring into this bucket that's in front of him. And then the killer chops off his head, and his head rolls into the bucket. And the fake head that they created looked so like actually realistic. So his kill was kind of funny, and I just thought the effects on it were great. And my other favorite kill was at the beginning of the movie, like the initial kill. There's these two kids, they're counselors, and they're like, I think their car broke down, so they camp out on the way to the camp. So they're in a tent, and the killer lights the tent on fire, and they burn alive. And you see the aftermath, and this one guy is just, I mean, he's like extra crispy, just all of his skin is gone. You just see all of his like muscles and tendons, and he's just completely charred. He looks like some blackened salmon. Like that was a fantastic kill. The effects on that were incredible. And that was, you got to have a good opening kill. That was a fantastic opening kill. Like you got to go all out. You got to hook people in, and they definitely hooked me in with that kill. I'm like, let's go. Like, these kills are on point. So those were some standouts. There was quite a few other good kills as well, but I don't have all day here. And then, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the reason I initially sought this movie out was because, it stars Felissa Rose. I'm a big Sleepaway Camp fan. I'm a big Felissa Rose fan, so I always check out Felissa Rose's other movies, and that's why I initially checked this out. So Felissa Rose, she did great in this. She was kind of like one of the senior counselors. She was like one of the camp directors. Like she wasn't like the lead camp director, but she was like one of the, you know, camp directors, and she was just funny in the fact that she was kind of, you know, she was seasoned and she was kind of burnt out, so she just didn't take any shit, and she was just constantly chewing people out. Like a lot of her staff were just, you know, either like sleaze bags or just they were like incompetent. So she was constantly just like screaming at everyone, swearing at everyone, and she just would not take any crap from anyone. And I thought like she was super funny. I thought her performance was great. So yeah, Felissa Rose killed it once again. And then, you know, in a lot of these newer Felissa Rose movies, you also have Dave Sheridan, who was, of course, you know, Special Officer Doofy in Scary Movie. He's been in countless other stuff as well. So, you know, they're almost like a package deal a lot of the time now in a lot of these newer movies. And like I said with Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan was super funny as well. There's this one instance where there's this guy who had like blood all over his shirt, and he was holding a knife, and he walks right by Dave Sheridan's character, who's the sheriff, and his character is like, "Hey, what's that on your shirt?" And the guy's like, "Oh, it's just paint." And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then he's like, "You know, where'd you get that knife?" And he's like, the guy's like, "Oh, I found it." And then he's just like, "Okay, cool, checks out. Let me take that for you." So yeah, I thought both Dave Sheridan and Felissa Rose were extremely funny in this. Their performances were fantastic, and I don't know. I like seeing them together. I like both of these actors, and it's fun seeing them together in all these little horror movies. So yeah, I hope this is something that they continue, because I don't know. Like, I like Felissa Rose, and I like having Dave Sheridan in these movies as well. Like, they're a nice, I don't know, combo deal. And moving on. So, something that I liked about this movie that was kind of refreshing is this movie, you know, it's set in the 80s. It's a summer camp slasher movie. It's pretty much like a love letter to the 80s slashers. It's like an 80s homage. But it's not meta. It's not like overly satirical, and it's not riddled with, you know, countless references to other movies. It's kind of just like a by the numbers, straight up slasher movie, and it's kind of formulaic, but not in a bad way. Like, it's just trying to be like a 80s slasher, but it's not, like I said, it's not like referencing a bunch of other movies or being overly satirical, or, you know, like I said, where it's like meta, and it's like, you know, self-aware, self-referential. You know, it's a lot of movies that are 80s homages that have those elements are good, but I feel like pretty much every newer movie that tries to be a 80s homage does all that stuff. So it's cool to just see a movie that's just trying to be a straight up slash movie. It's not trying to do anything crazy. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just trying to be a fun little slash movie. I really like that, you know, because sometimes simple is better. And for me, I don't know, sometimes some of the overly meta stuff, or like some stuff with like too many references, it becomes corny sometimes, you know. And it has been done so much before where, you know, I don't know, in the 2020s it kind of has become played out. Like, that's been going on since the 90s. It's like, okay, we get it, you know. It's like, oh, you're referencing yourself, oh, you're self-aware, oh, it's like, give me a effing break. Like, get out of my face with that. So yeah, I like that this was just like a straight up slasher. And then I kind of touched on this earlier, but yeah, the main thing that, you know, took this movie down a few notches for me was it was just so long. There were so many instances where it dragged. There was a lot of fluff. There was, just like the pacing was not tight. It was slow at times. That is what really brought the movie down for me. And then just something else, like now that I'm on the negatives, a lot of the way that a lot of the outdoor scenes at night were either lit or color graded. I don't know what it was, but they had this kind of strange look where it was like they weren't lit enough, and they almost had this dark blue hue to them. I didn't like that because it was like jarring. Like it would go from the daytime, all the daytime stuff looked normal, and the nighttime stuff just didn't. It just looked kind of off. It wasn't like a smooth transition from the night shots to the day shots, because the night shots almost had this like purple look, and I feel like they weren't lit as well as they could be. Like I couldn't see everything that was going on. That like both times that I've seen this movie, that has bothered me. I don't like how like the outdoor night scenes look in this movie. Even though the outdoor night scenes are good, like the content is good, the look of them is just off to me, and it just, I don't know, it kind of brings down my enjoyment of the movie. But those are really the only two big negatives. Like I said, there's a lot of good stuff that this movie has going for it. And then the last thing that I want to mention is I think this movie, like the third act, is pretty good, and there's a good twist. The first time I watched it, I did not expect the twist, and I thought it was a smart little twist. And this is just, like I said, it's like a formulaic by the numbers slash movie. You wouldn't expect the twist to be decent, but it's actually pretty good. And I don't know, I did not see it coming from a mile away, so it definitely did its job. So yeah, you had a good little twist, good little third act. And then something that I noticed this time that I didn't notice the last time I watched this, there's actually two post-credit scenes, and I don't really want to get into them too much, but just if people do watch this movie, I would say watch the credits and watch these two post-credit scenes, because the first one gives you some kind of resolution, because the ending is kind of it just kind of ends abruptly, but it's not like a bad ending, but it just ends abruptly. So the first post-credit scene gives you some clarification on the ending, and the second post-credit scene kind of sets up someone who might be in the sequel, because I believe they are funding. They're like doing like an Indiegogo campaign to fund a sequel for this. So yeah, definitely, if you watch this movie, definitely watch the post-credit scenes, because I thought they were pretty cool, and they kind of gave me some clarity. But yeah, in terms of a recommendation, like I said, this is it's decent. It's not great. Like I said, it's a little bit too long. There are some points where it's just too drawn out. It's some scenes go on for too long, and it's just, I don't know. It is, there are some boring slow moments, but there is a lot of fun to be had. And I would say, if you're a fan of Felissa Rose, I would say this is worth checking out. But if you're not like a total Felissa Rose fanboy like myself, I would say skip it. There's better summer camp slash movies. So yeah, if you're a huge Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan fanboy, definitely check it out. If not, skip it. But yeah, if the sequel does come out, I would definitely be interested in seeing the sequel. I would be excited to watch that. So I hope that does come out. That would be pretty darn cool. But anyways, that's been my recommendation, and that has been my review of Bloody Summer Camp. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.